Hey everyone, this is Corine La Font, your favorite radio host, your only radio host and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know how we do it here? With gratitude or thankfulness, I go with thankful. Okay, so I'm going to say one time that I'm thankful that it's raining today. It's pouring, it's overcast. It's not as sunny, so I know Carl is not going to see as much sun on me today because it's overcast. It's pure clouds covering and it's rainy. I love the rain. So he's not going to see the sun on me today, but it's still beautiful here. And another thing I need to say about Carl before we start. Carl showed me up yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago with my website. And can you imagine this man wrote me and said, Corine, I just want to be able to show the world about your website being 92% dirty. I'm like, what? I am like, what? You're showing me. You are so eager to show me up. Well, looky, I am going to get back at Carl. Clearly, I need. Carl is showing me up. Can you imagine? Carl. Okay? Carl, we're talking. We're talking today about moon landings. Now, look here. Carl comes on my show. Listen, people, listen to me good. Carl comes on my show and talks all sorts of things that I don't know about. So when you see I'm quiet, it's because I'm listening and learning, just like you. And I jump in every now and again when he says something crazy. And I just like, what does that mean? Explain that. For the laypersons like myself, people, I'm representing you. Okay? So Carl is talking about moon landings and he is saying it never happened. No, I wasn't there. And I don't want anybody from NASA finding me and say I am colluding with Carl about the moon landings. Don't come and find me. There is Carl. There is Carl. Okay? so he's going to be showcasing some websites. I mean, want to maximize the time because he always has a lot of links to share. So let me tell you quickly about Carl. So Karl de Leeuw is one of the world's leading campaigners of, you would have heard this before, world peace via the truth, climate change via the reduction of atmospheric methane, and healthy eating via the Seagan diet, as well as retaining the right hemisphere gift of dyslexia. All of which I've created a playlist for him. He's so excited on YouTube, so you can find all of Karl's interviews and episodes right in one place. Karl is the author of the Universe Code, the Healthspring Code, and the Dyslexia Code, and is the founder of LifeSurfers.me, which I'm sure he's going to showcase today. And Karl wants to share why the moon landings never took place. Like I said, NASA, don't reach out to me. I know nothing of this, and I am not an accomplice with Karl. Okay? I am not an accomplice. Welcome, Karl, to Between the Lines. Hello. Let's get going.
Hi, Corinne. Yeah, we've got to get going. But just before that, you don't need the sun to shine. Just out of interest, you're always beaming sunlight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I'm just going to today share 6 photos. Now, for my Dyslexia Code book, it took me 6 months research. For my Healthspring Code book, another 6 months, because there's a lot of health food stuff that take dyslexic people off. So I already was within that. The Universe Code took me 7 years. And we discussed one of the topics, Jesus in India there. For the moon landing, it took me a day of research. I didn't have to research more than a day. It's so simple. So I'm just going to try a few buttons here on your screen. I've never used this before, so let's just see how I do. So are you seeing a screen now? Are you seeing the big screen, Corinne?
I am very much so. It's Ecosia or
Ecosia.org, and you can see my arrow there. Okay, so Ecosia is a...
I am seeing it.
I'm saying to people, please put this on your web browser because it's an ethical web browser. In any case, so the first thing I'm going to put on here, and it doesn't matter what web browser you're on, Sea on Rocks moon landing. So the letter C on rocks, moon landing. And then I'm going to go images. So here you can see the images. Now, these are NASA's photos, okay? Not mine. Can you see the C? So I'm going to click on one of them. Can you see that C? That is physical footage of the moon landings. How come there's a C on a rock? So the people that's experts on photography and film experts say that that was shot in a studio. So the whole thing for that particular part was all shot in a studio. It was definitely not on the moon. Okay, so let me just get out of there. So the next one I'm going to insert is shadows parallel moon landing. Shadows parallel moon landing, click images. Okay, so when the sun is millions of miles away and two people stand or two objects stand next to each other on the moon, they have to be parallel. For any shadow on the moon to be parallel, unless Armstrong, when he got out, put a big lamp on the moon, which is not what didn't happen. It's not on the itinerary list, and obviously we know it didn't happen. So the question is, all these photos, you can see there's shadows that's not parallel. Many, many, many. So let me just click on some. So let's just have a look. Well, I don't even have to click on one. You can look here. They're not parallel. So I invite people to, this is why I just, actually, it took me a day because I found it so interesting. I just had to research this for a few hours, really. So these are NASA's photos. They, you cannot look at that one. You cannot have, there's some photos of people standing next to each other. They have to be parallel. Okay, so that's the second photo we want to look at. So now let's go to the third one. No stars moon landing. No stars moon landing. Click images. Oh, we're already on images. Okay, so NASA went, they had 6 Apollo missions. Armstrong's was the first. And it seems all the photos are, and this is something I didn't even pick up, I think, on the thing, just myself. All the photos were on the dark side of the moon. So if you got the Earth, the sun, and then you've got the moon, so it seems all 6 times they landed on the dark side of the moon because there's no sunshine. We're going to look at that next photo, the fourth photo. But so there's no stars. So the first thing is there's no stars. But the second one is, if they're on the dark side of the moon, they just by accident, or maybe by choice, they've decided to go on the dark side of the moon every single time for the 6 landings. There's no spotlight. They haven't got any spotlight on the itinerary list. Now they're in the dark side. Why are these people lit up? Where's the light coming from? They're on the dark side. Look at the backdrop. There's no stars. So on the moon, there's no atmosphere, there's no pollution. The stars should be as bright as you can get. There's no stars. So let's go to the next one. No sun moon landing. Again, no sun. Now, interesting, when the probe the Perseverance landed a week or so ago on Mars. The same day they had a few photos of the back. I think there's 2 cameras of the back camera. But a day or 2 later, they issued photos, videos from the Mars Perseverance, and it was in sunlight. But for some reason, all the moon landings didn't take place in the sun. Okay, item 5. Shadows, shadow length moon landing. Okay, yes, so we're back on shadows again. There you can see the length of shadows. So if the moon is a million miles away, the shadows, first of all, we've discussed they have to be parallel. So if you look at that one there, they're not parallel. But secondly, if they're very close to each other like that, the shadows have to be the same length. They cannot be, unless there was a lamp placed at that height. So these are what the experts are saying. And then the 6th and last photo is Horizon moon landing. So all the photos, this is not Horizon. You can see the end of that. You can never see the end of the horizon. You can look at all of them. So the latest NASA's ones as well, that one that was a few days after Perseverance landed, you can actually see, it's in sunlight, you can see the Mars in front of, close to the Perseverance, and then you can see in the distance the horizon. So I'm now finished with sharing this, so let me just try and see if I can go back. Am I off the sharing now?
Yes, you are off the sharing. You did great.
Okay.
So here are my question. Here are my questions to you. If you're running a conspiracy theory here now, Karl, to say that all the big talk about the moon landings and you have pictures to prove that it never happened, how did those pictures come about in the first place to convince people that it did happen?
Well, the experts say they shot it in a massive studio. It was probably a dome-shaped studio in the middle of America somewhere. So if you look at that photo with the 2 shadows.
So they would go through all of that. They would go through all of that just for what reason?
Okay, the reason.
What would be the motive behind doing all of that?
2 motives. So in 1963, John F. Kennedy announced that the US is going to the moon. They were in a race with the Soviet Union, Cold War days. And Kennedy announced they're going to the moon, 1963. So now they have to go to the moon. The second reason is...
I remember that.
Yeah, well, I was born in 63, so I can't remember the 63 one, but...
well, I don't remember it being there at the time, but I'm saying I remember seeing footage of it, you know, because they would show these things historically on TV, and so you would hear his speech. And yes, I remember the Soviet Union. It was like a competition, so he felt, you know, he had to be there first. It cannot be the Soviet Union. Yeah.
Okay. So actually, there's 3 reasons. So now they have to do it. So now the problem happens. Around the Earth, there's a belt called the Van Allen belt. It's a radiation belt. And the experts say that if you want to go through that radiation belt with the material technology of 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago, the thing they went up, the capsule they went up with, had to be a centimeter of aluminium, but it was only 2 centimeters or something like that. So what the guys are saying is they discovered they couldn't go through this Van Allen belt, radiation belt. And it's interesting, now NASA is now again trying to figure out how they're going through this Van Allen belt of radiation. NASA is now saying, I just read one thing, they just 50 years ago, they just struck it lucky. They went at the right angle. They just caught the angle correctly. So what I'm proposing, and this is what experts are proposing, the first reason is John F. Kennedy announced it. The second reason is they then discovered, well, they can't do it. But that is speculation. Then the third one is these contracts were worth billions of dollars. Now imagine if you're on the receiving end of receiving a hell of a lot of money. Is there an incentive for you to stop if you're in charge of running the show? And I've been in the building industry, and one of my talks are going to be on sophisticated fraud in the UK construction industry. I won't have it with you, but you'll be lucky to hear, Corine. But I know all about.
I know, right?
Yeah, so I all know about this. So those are the three reasons, and they just had to do it. Now, what? I have to go back to things. Okay, so just out of interest, because I've just got notes on my right-hand side here. Another interesting thing is that I'm sure a lot of people don't know this. The Nazis, so rockets started right from the Chinese many thousands of years ago. The first gunpowder, powder, and stuff like that. But in the Second World War, the Nazis were doing creating these V2 rockets. So they were, just at the end of the Second World War, the most advanced rockets in the world. And one of the scientists working for the Nazis, a Nazi, was von Braun. So what do the US do? They hire von Braun to be the leader. So leader, you can see, you can Google, or not Google, but or kzia.org, von Braun. And that's really bad karma. Countries have karma. This is all to do with bad debts and stuff like that. That's another talk, reincarnation, that I've got. And so the whole thing started really badly, that you start the whole program with a Nazi. So, as I mentioned, they had 6 Apollo races, 6 Apollo missions. Now, what I want to do is I just want to, I forgot, I should have done this one. I want to go back to the share screen and put in list of lunar probes and go on Wikipedia there. So this is really interesting. So the first Apollo mission landed in 1969. Okay, so they had lunar probes, both the US and NASA and USSR both had lunar probes before they landed there. So yeah, the USSR, NASA are still, so what year is that? Up to 67. They've both got probes going to the moon. So yeah, NASA, this is just before the moon, so they still got a probe. But then they stopped. The USSR is still sending probes. So they stopped because they had the moon landing, because these are just the probes they sent. So 71 was the last moon landing of the 6. Okay, so this is from 71. So the Russians have got probes. Watch here. NASA is sending a probe and another probe. Now that's interesting. They've just landed on the moon. Surely you want to, if you land on the moon, you're going to build your why is the International Space Station even where it is? Why don't the moon is not so far away? Why don't it have a permanent base there? But NASA is sending, okay, USSR, NASA is again. So now I assume that it looks like Chinese. So the Chinese are so this is from what, 1983 to 98. So now the Chinese are sending probes. NASA is sending probes. Probes. No one is sending, the European, I suppose. They sending. Is that Japan, I suppose? Might not be China. Oh, yes, China. There's China. The other one was Japan. So India is joining the race. What year is this now? So this is 2001 to 2009. So no one is sending, all these nations, not one is going to the moon. Why for 50 years are they sending probes? And they've never returned to the moon. Is it not interesting? Okay, this is now very lately, 2010 to 2019. There's China again. There's NASA again. Whoa. They're sending probes. Why would you send a probe if you've already landed? If you can send man and to go dig and stuff. So yes, China again now.
Because they cannot put their humans at risk, Carl. They have to send the little machine things to check it out before they actually send a human there. That's what I'm thinking.
But they've already sent humans. There were 6 Apollo missions. So Armstrong and the rest already, other people after Armstrong also were on the moon.
Yeah,
so you already had
but things may have changed in the atmosphere. Things may have changed in the atmosphere, and every time they have to go, they should send a probe before they actually send their people to put them at risk. You don't know what changes may have happened.
So let's go back to So okay, now 68. Okay, so now in 60. So no, let's go. 71, 76. Let's go. 83. So they send a probe. So why didn't they send another after that? So they send a probe to check something out on your comment. In where was this one? 70. I don't know. 83 there. So why did they not go again, like they did with Armstrong after that?
But here's another question for you, Carl. If after so many years, you said 50 years, I can't remember when was the first landing. If after so many years, what's the purpose or the motive now for bringing up this sort of refuting theory? Let's call it a refuting theory. What's the purpose behind sharing all of this now? What do you hope to accomplish? Or persons who, like you, are questioning it, what's the purpose now? What do you hope to achieve? John F. Kennedy is dead. He has been lauded for whoever the presidents came after him or before him that did whatever. What's the point? Why not just leave sleeping dogs where they are?
Because, we didn't talk about, one of my topics on my Universe Code book is reincarnation. And there I talk about how reincarnation is taken out of the Old and New Testament. And I've got some proof about it. And obviously Hinduism, Buddhism is all about reincarnation. And just our interest sake, in the Quran, there's also reincarnation. The Muslims haven't looked for it. The Quran is a very highly scientific document. So if you believe in reincarnation, as I do now, and I'm a Christian, you've got karma. And people have got karma, but countries have also got karma. So for the US to be the leader in the free world, to have pulled off, in my view, and a lot of film experts' views, the biggest lie ever in humanity, you have to get world peace, for us to move to a state of world peace, which is one of my biggest pushes that I'm doing, you have to get the truth. You even in apartheid years in South Africa, they had things after apartheid reconciliations commissions. You have to get the truth. After coronavirus in the UK, there's going to be a big, in all countries, how did they go wrong? They weren't ready. You have to get to the truth. So if the biggest lie ever taken place, like I'm saying, I don't believe, I'm glad you changed from conspiracy theory, because this is not a conspiracy theory, this is fact. I showed you 6 photos that you don't have to be 5 years old to figure out. It's so simplistic that you haven't even have to have 1 IQ to figure this out. And what I'm calling for is the New York State, under probable cause, to sue NASA. And so the plaintiff, the whatever you call it, the one that's taking them to court, and you then get the jury, and then you get the experts in. And the experts that says the moon landing, sorry, let me finish. The experts that says that the moon landing never took place will run rings about them, and NASA will lose the case. And I see we've got a question. It's all about the truth will set us free. We have to have the truth. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree with the truth setting us free, and I'm all about the truth. And somebody just put in a question here watching from Twitch. You can see it on the screen. Didn't the NASA budget end up getting lower, a lot more, after 1972? We have 2 more minutes to wrap that up. If you could answer that question, if you have the answer, Karl, could you answer that?
Yeah, very, very simply. After 72 was the last moon landing of the 6. So after that, they never went back to the moon again. As you could see, they then sent probes, lunar probes. So they spent all this money to get to the moon, and in the last 50 years, we've never returned. So the money stopped. Thank God for that. At least they only for 3 years have told lies. But the issue is that Nixon, he didn't go under because of what happened with Watergate. He went under, like a lot of people do, because he told lies about it. So if you're telling a lie, so this is why we need to get NASA in a court, because they cannot lie. If they start lying, and that's the only time, NASA can't give any straight answers to anyone. They're just ducking and diving, complete rubbish answers. So the truth will set us free. If we want world peace,
who's going to take down NASA, Karl? You, not me. Who is going to take down NASA? Who is going to take down JFK? Who is dead?
Well, you don't have to. No, you can't take down. I've got nothing in JFK. I think it was a small group of people within NASA. JFK most probably didn't even know about it. These things happen this way. So presidents don't always know everything that goes on. If you've got 5 people or 2 people or even 1 person that want to create this, fortunately, you know what's the saving grace in all this? The film's expert says that the people that work, they can see that the people that worked in these studios on purpose left clues for humanity, because they knew, because 50 years ago they weren't very sophisticated in studios and stuff like that. So the film expert says they know these guys left clues. It's so, so they were the ones that we must probably found out, and who knows what would have happened behind the scenes. So, but no one of that small group, there might be people in the 80s, 90s still alive, is going to say a word. The only way is to take NASA to court under probable cause, and it has to happen because it's like sophisticated fraud in nuclear construction industry. I don't want to even go backwards. I just want certain things to stop. But in this case with NASA, the truth must come out, because if you've pulled off the biggest lie ever in humanity, and I've shared you 6 photos, believe me, there's a lot more. I just 6 that I like. If anyone had to spend a day just listening to these guys telling you, there's a lot more. This is just the beginning. So, yeah.
At least it puts a little, at least it puts a little hole. It makes you start to wonder. It makes you start to question what really happened. But I want you to end up with this thought, Carl, because we have gone a bit over time. I want you to end up with this thought. You mentioned karma, country karma, nation karma, individual personal karma. Everybody has karma. But a lot of people are not thinking about karma. They're not thinking about their thoughts, actions, deeds, words. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. And it may not hit you. It may not hit you, but it will definitely reach the generations that come after. So
if you're
what do you want to say to people about karma? What do
Okay,
you want to say to
so
people about the lies that they tell, or the biggest lies that people tell, and karma? What do you want to leave people with at the end of this episode?
okay, so on lightsurface.me, we're not going to talk about it. I've got talks that's already there on reincarnation. I would suggest to go and listen to it. But just very quickly, you come to life, you come to Earth. Earth turns out to be hell. And you come to Earth, this is from my research, 7 years research, and a lot of this information comes from the spirit world. You come to Earth for a mission. When you open your mouth, you actually, your soul enters your body. You then have to wake up yourself, your life mission. And this is why a lot of people go through life, later on you get midlife crisis, because you know there's something you need to do, but you haven't woken it up. I woke mine up when I lost everything financially in property crash in Ireland, in subprime crash, the Celtic Tiger crash. So then you have life lessons, and then you go back to the spirit world. There's a lot more to this. It's really interesting discussion on reincarnation if you're interested. Now, if you haven't carried out your life lessons in this lifetime, you've got to go back to the spirit world, and you have to come again. And when you're in the spirit world, before you come in spirit form, you sit with a committee. They always talk about the committee of 12. I know my one lady that taught me at the College of Psychic Studies in London can remember herself in the spirit world, Amanda Roberts. And you then sit with the committee, and now you have to go back and do your karma. So the last thing I would like to say, anyone that's murdered someone, that's sexually abused anyone, that's done anyone, just speak the truth. Just go, ask for forgiveness, and speak the truth, and just soak up the consequences, because otherwise you're losing a lifetime.
I like that. Soak up the consequences, speak the truth, and it is freedom. Believe me, it is freedom. Karl, I want to thank you so much for being on my show, sharing it. We were talking about the moon landing, but everything that you have come on and shared is really the basis of which is about the truth. What is the truth? Share the truth, stop the lies, and let us move forward with a free spirit, knowing we are not carrying this shadow over you everywhere you go and perpetuating it in the generations. So thank you so much for being here. I know I'm going to be seeing you again, no doubt. This is Karl de Leeuw, people. This is Karl de Leeuw. He is on a mission. Thank you so much for being on Between the Lines.